I just got a message from the family I cut off 12 years ago. My dad is dying, and now they suddenly need me. Not for support, not for closure, but for money. You won't believe what they're asking me to do. I just got a message from the family I cut off 12 years ago. My dad is dying, and now they suddenly need me. Not for support, not for closure, but for money. You won't believe what they're asking me to do. They want me to cover his medical bills, tens of thousands of dollars. After treating me like I never existed for over a decade. No apologies, no attempt to rebuild a relationship. Just a demand, as if I owe them something. And the worst part, some of them are acting like it's my responsibility. Like I should feel guilty if I say no. But where were they when I needed them? Where was this family when I struggled? When I had nothing? Now, as they push their expectations onto me, I'm left wondering, do I have any obligation to help the people who abandoned me? Or is walking away again the right choice? And it's not just about the money. It's about everything that led up to this moment. The years of silence, the pain I had to bury, the way they acted like I never existed. Now suddenly they remember me when they need something. It makes me wonder, if my father wasn't dying, would they have ever reached out? Or am I just the last resort, a wallet to them? Part of me feels anger, betrayal, even disbelief at how easily they expect me to step in. But another part of me, the part that remembers the rare good moments, the child in me that once wanted their approval, hesitates. If I walk away now, does that make me just as heartless as they were to me? Or am I finally choosing myself over the people who never chose me? And then there's the guilt. The kind that creeps in late at night, whispering, what if this is the last chance? What if, despite everything, I'll regret not helping? But then I remind myself, where was their guilt when I needed them? When I was struggling, when I was alone? They didn't reach out, didn't care. And now I'm supposed to forget all of that just because time is running out? I feel like I'm being manipulated. Like their sudden concern is less about family and more about convenience. And yet deep down there's still a tiny voice asking, what if I say no? And that decision haunts me forever. But is guilt really a reason to open a door I closed for a reason? I spent years healing, rebuilding my life without them, proving to myself that I didn't need their validation. And now, just because they've decided it's convenient, I'm supposed to step back into that role? The dutiful child, the fixer, the one who carries the weight they were never willing to share? The truth is, I don't owe them anything. Not my money, not my time, not my peace. And yet, despite everything, I still hesitate. Because no matter how much I've tried to erase the idea of family from my heart, some part of me still wonders, if I walk away now, am I truly free? Or am I just proving them right? That I was always the selfish one? And that's the hardest part. Wondering if choosing myself makes me the villain in their story. They'll talk, they'll judge. They'll say I turned my back on my own blood when they needed me most. But where was this loyalty when I was the one suffering? Why is it that family only matters when it benefits them? I keep replaying every moment, every hurt, every reason I walked away in the first place. And yet that small, stubborn part of me still wavers. Maybe it's the part that once craved their love. Or maybe it's just the weight of old wounds that never fully heal. But at the end of the day, I have to ask myself, do I live for their expectations, or do I finally fully choose me? And maybe that's what this is really about. Not money, not obligation, but the final test of whether I've truly moved on. Because if I give in now, if I let their guilt and expectations pull me back, then what was the point of all those years of distance? What was the point of breaking free? I know deep down that no matter what I do, it won't be enough for them. If I pay, they'll take it and disappear again, only to return when they need more. If I refuse, I'll be the cold-hearted one, the selfish child who abandoned their family. Either way, I lose, unless I choose to stop playing their game altogether. Maybe walking away isn't about proving anything to them. Maybe it's about proving to myself that I'm finally done searching for love in a place it never existed. And that realization hits me like a weight lifting off my shoulders. I don't need their approval, their acceptance, or their twisted version of love to be whole. I've spent years unlearning the idea that family is about obligation instead of choice. Real family, the kind that loves and supports you, doesn't only show up when they need something. Real love isn't conditional, isn't transactional. And if I say no, if I let go completely, I'm not losing anything. I'm just finally accepting what was always true. They let me go a long time ago. Now it's my turn to do the same. So this is it. The moment I finally close the door, not just physically but emotionally. No more waiting for them to change. No more hoping for an apology that will never come. I won't let guilt be the chain that pulls me back into a life I fought so hard to escape. They made their choices, and now I'm making mine. I choose peace. I choose freedom. I choose me. And for the first time in years I feel lighter. Because walking away isn't the hard part. It's realizing I should have done it sooner. And as I take that final step away, there's no anger left, no resentment, just clarity. I see them for who they really are, not who I once wished they'd be. I owe them nothing. Not my money, not my time, not even my pain. They will tell their version of the story, twisted to make me the villain. But I won't be there to hear it. Because I'm done living for them. I'm done explaining myself. I'm done carrying a burden that was never mine to bear. And for the first time in my life, I'm free. But freedom doesn't feel like I expected. There's no dramatic closure, no sudden peace. Just quiet. The absence of something that for so long shaped my every thought, my every wound. I thought walking away would feel like a victory. But it feels more like a whisper, soft, subtle, but powerful all the same. Days pass, and the messages keep coming. Desperate, angry, guilt-ridden. They try every tactic, reminding me of childhood memories, twisting my past, making me question myself. But I see it for what it is. I know now that love doesn't come with a price tag. And forgiveness doesn't mean self-sacrifice. Then one evening, I get a final message. Short, cold. You'll regret this. Maybe I will. Maybe years from now, I'll wonder if I made the right choice. But regret is a funny thing. It only has power if you let it. And I refuse to let ghosts of the past dictate my future. I put down my phone. Exhale. Step outside into the night air. The world hasn't changed, but I have. And for the first time in a long time, I am not looking back. I close my eyes and take a deep breath, letting the silence fill the space where pain used to live. The messages keep coming, first pleading, then accusatory, and finally almost empty, as if they themselves no longer know how to reach me, how to extract what they need. They use everything. Old memories that have long lost their warmth, words that once made me feel guilty, even promises that sound hollow because I know, if I give in to their demands, nothing will change. That's the irony. They still believe they have power over me, but they don't realize that I have long outgrown their shadow. I am no longer the child who craves love where it never existed. I am no longer someone who can be easily convinced to return, to submit, to put their desires above my own boundaries. Maybe there's still a small part of me that wants to believe in a different ending. In a moment where they understand, acknowledge, regret, but reality has proven otherwise. Some things never change. And instead of waiting for apologies that will never come, instead of letting the past dictate my present, I finally let go. I will not respond to their messages. I will not explain myself. I will not justify my choice. I am not their enemy, but I am not their savior either. This is not cruelty, not indifference, it is self-love, the kind they never taught me to have. I simply close the door that should have been locked long ago. And this time I don't leave the key under the doormat. And as I stand there, phone silent in my hand, I feel something unfamiliar. A weight lifting, a quiet certainty settling into the spaces where doubt once lived. They will tell their version of the story, twisting me into the villain, painting me as heartless, ungrateful, selfish. But their words no longer hold the same power. I've spent too many years letting their absence define me. Too many nights wondering if I was the problem. If I wasn't enough to be loved the way I deserved. But now I see the truth. Love that comes only with conditions was never love at all. Family isn't just blood. It's who shows up, who stays, who chooses you even when there's nothing to gain. And they never chose me. So why should I choose them now? This is not revenge. This is not bitterness. This is freedom. The kind that doesn't come with fanfare or grand gestures, but with the simple act of refusing to be pulled back into the life I fought so hard to escape. And as I turn away, stepping fully into the life I built without them, I realize something profound. I am not the selfish one. I am not the villain. I am simply someone who finally learned to put myself first. And for the first time in years, I know I don't just deserve this peace. I have earned it. And with that realization, I finally let go, not just of them, but of the version of myself that once believed I had to earn love by sacrificing my own happiness. I no longer need to prove my worth to people who were never willing to see it. I no longer need to chase ghosts of a family that existed only in my hopes, not in reality. I don't need their approval, their acceptance, or their twisted version of loyalty to be whole. The past will remain where it belongs, no longer a weight on my shoulders, but a lesson etched into the foundation of the person I've become. They will move on, just as they always have, seeking something or someone else to fill the void they refuse to acknowledge within themselves. And I will move forward, not with resentment, not with anger, but with the quiet certainty that I did what was right for me. There is no regret, no second-guessing, only the knowledge that I chose myself, that I refused to be a character in a story written by people who never truly saw me. This is what freedom feels like. Not the absence of pain, but the presence of clarity. And as I take that final step away, I am lighter, stronger, and for the first time in my life, completely at peace. And as I walk away, the night air crisp against my skin, I realize that this moment isn't just an ending. It's a beginning. A beginning where I no longer carry the weight of their expectations, their disappointments, their selective love. A beginning where I am no longer defined by the people who let me go but by the person I chose to become despite them. I think about all the years I spent looking over my shoulder, wondering if I should have stayed, if I should have tried harder, if I should have been different. But now, I understand, the version of me that longed for their love no longer exists. I have outgrown the need to be wanted by people who only saw me as useful when I could give them something. My love, my time, my energy, they are no longer theirs to take. And as I breathe in the cool night, I feel something settle deep inside me. Something steady and unshakable. This is closure. Not the kind that comes from apologies or reconciliations, but the kind that comes from knowing I owe them nothing. Not my forgiveness, not my sorrow, not my presence. I have given enough. And now I give to myself the love, the care, the loyalty I once reserved for those who never deserved it. I step forward untethered, unwritten by their narrative, and for the first time in my life, I am truly finally free. And as I take that final step forward, I realize that freedom isn't just about walking away. It's about no longer feeling the need to look back. The past will always be there. A story I once lived. But it no longer holds the power to shape me. I am no longer the person who waits for an apology that will never come, who bends under the weight of guilt that was never mine to carry. I am no longer the child who longed for love in a place it never existed. I am something more now. Someone who has learned that true strength isn't in enduring pain for the sake of others, but in choosing myself despite the pressure to do otherwise. And so, I let them go, not with anger, not with sadness, but with certainty. They will say what they want, twist the story however they need to, paint me as the villain in a narrative they refuse to see clearly. But that's not my concern anymore. Their expectations, their judgment, their demands, they are nothing more than echoes fading into the distance. I step into the unknown, not afraid, not uncertain, but ready. Ready to live for myself, to embrace the peace I fought so hard to find, to exist without the shadow of their absence defining me. This is what it means to be free. Not just to leave, but to know deep in my soul that I never have to return. And as I move forward without hesitation, without regret, I finally understand. Freedom was never about them. It was always about me. And with that understanding, I step fully into my own life, untethered by the past, no longer carrying the weight of their absence like an open wound. There is no bitterness left. No lingering resentment. Only clarity. Clarity that I was never the selfish one for choosing myself. That love should never be a transaction, and that family is not defined by blood but by the people who show up, who stay, who love without conditions. I know now that their story is theirs to tell, twisted as it may be, but it no longer concerns me. I am done explaining, done justifying, done questioning whether I made the right choice. I did. Because peace isn't found in reopening doors that only lead to more pain. It's found in walking through the ones that lead forward. So I let them say what they will. Let them paint me as cold, ungrateful, unfeeling. I know the truth. I know that love isn't meant to hurt, isn't meant to come with demands or ultimatums. I know that choosing myself doesn't make me the villain, it makes me free. And as I take one last look at the life I've left behind, I don't feel sadness. I don't feel doubt. I feel a quiet, steady certainty that I am exactly where I'm meant to be. So I turn away, step forward, and with a deep breath, I let it all go for the last time. And as I let it all go, something shifts within me. Subtle yet profound. Like the breaking of chains I didn't even realize I was still wearing. I no longer feel the pull of the past, the lingering whispers of guilt or obligation. I am weightless, unburdened, free in a way I never thought possible. The road ahead is unknown, but it is mine to walk, without the shadows of people who only remembered me when they needed something. I am no longer seeking closure from those who will never give it, no longer waiting for apologies that will never come. My closure is this: choosing myself, stepping forward, refusing to let their version of the story define me any longer. I am not lost. I am not cruel. I am not selfish. I am simply done. Done trying, done hoping, done carrying the weight of a love that was never real. And for the first time in my life, as I walk away without looking back, I know with absolute certainty, I am enough. I have always been enough. And I finally believe it. And in that belief, I find my true beginning. Not one shaped by loss or rejection, but by self-acceptance, by the unwavering knowledge that I am whole on my own. There is no more longing, no more questioning if I should have done more, been more, stayed longer. I was never meant to shrink myself to fit into a space that was never mine to begin with. I was never meant to keep proving my worth to people who refused to see it. The love I searched for in them, I now give to myself, freely, fully, without condition. This is what healing feels like. Not erasing the past, but no longer allowing it to define me. Not waiting for someone else to grant me peace, but creating it within myself. And as I take another step forward, I don't just walk away from them. I walk toward something greater. Toward a life where love is given without expectation. Where my worth is not determined by who chooses me, but by how I choose myself. Toward a future where I am no longer bound by the wounds of yesterday, but free to embrace everything that tomorrow holds. And so, with steady steps and a heart no longer weighed down by what was, I move forward, stronger, lighter, and finally truly free. This story is a true manifesto of self-respect, strength, and liberation from the burdens of the past. And at the same time, it's painfully familiar to anyone who has ever had to choose between a toxic family and their own peace. But even when we make the decision not to return to the people who never truly valued us, something inside still waits. Not for an apology. We've long accepted that it will never come. Not for love, because it was always conditional, transactional. Maybe we just want to know with absolute certainty that we made the right choice. And then months after the last message, after their final attempt to guilt-trip me, after I finally found peace, something new appears. A rumor, a casual conversation overheard through mutual acquaintances. My father is dead. I look at the message and feel nothing. Not grief, not relief, not anger. Just emptiness. Like staring at a painting that once meant something, but now evokes no emotion at all. But something else catches my attention. They're saying you didn't even show up. That you don't care. That you abandoned your own family. There it is. Their story. Now in their eyes I'm officially the villain. I could explain myself, defend my choices, tell my side of the story. But to whom? To people who have already decided who I am to them? I am no longer a part of their world, just as they are no longer a part of mine. I put down my phone and step outside. The air is fresh, light. The city moves forward, untouched by their drama, unburdened by their expectations. And so do I. For the first time, without looking back. And this time, I know for certain, this isn't escape. This is freedom. Days pass, and the echoes of their words begin to fade. There's no more anger, no more questions, no more wondering if I should have done something differently. Their story belongs to them. But it does not belong to me. Still, a part of me wonders, was this the final test? The moment I would break and return? The last chance to prove that I am not the monster they now paint me to be? But then I realize, I don't need to prove anything to anyone. Not anymore. I walk down the street, feeling the weight of their absence settle in a new way. Not as loss, but as space. Space for something better. Space for people who truly see me. Who choose me for who I am, not for what I can give them. And maybe that's the real lesson in all of this. I didn't lose a family. I lost a burden I was never meant to carry. They will talk. They will twist the story. They will find new ways to justify their actions, to make me the villain they need me to be. But their words no longer reach me. Their expectations no longer chain me. I step forward not with regret, not with guilt, but with the quiet certainty that I am exactly where I'm meant to be. Because in the end, freedom isn't just about walking away. It's about finally knowing, deep in my soul, that I never have to go back. Days pass, and the echoes of their words begin to fade. There's no more anger, no more questions, no more wondering if I should have done something differently. Their story belongs to them, but it does not belong to me. Still, a part of me wonders, was this the final test? The moment I would break in return? The last chance to prove that I am not the monster they now paint me to be? But then I realize, I don't need to prove anything to anyone. Not anymore. I walk down the street, feeling the weight of their absence settle in a new way. Not as loss but as space. Space for something better. Space for people who truly see me, who choose me for who I am, not for what I can give them. And maybe that's the real lesson in all of this. I didn't lose a family. I lost a burden I was never meant to carry. They will talk. They will twist the story. They will find new ways to justify their actions, to make me the villain they need me to be. But their words no longer reach me. Their expectations no longer chain me. I step forward, not with regret, not with guilt, but with a quiet certainty that I am exactly where I'm meant to be. Because in the end, freedom isn't just about walking away. It's about finally knowing, deep in my soul, that I never have to go back. The days blend into weeks, and with each passing moment, the weight of their absence feels less like a wound and more like a healed scar. Something that once hurt but no longer holds power over me. The messages have stopped, the accusations have quieted, and the silence they once weaponized against me is now my greatest peace. I no longer replay old memories, no longer search for meaning in their actions, no longer wait for an apology that was never coming. I walk through life lighter, unburdened, untethered from the ghosts of expectations that were never mine to fulfill. They will tell their version of the story, twisting my choices into selfishness, painting my freedom as cruelty, convincing themselves that I am the one who abandoned them. But I know the truth. I know that family is not defined by obligation or blood, but by love, by presence, by the people who choose you even when there is nothing to gain. And they never chose me. They only remembered me when they needed something, when I was useful, when my absence became inconvenient. But I refused to be the character in their script, the dutiful child, the ever-forgiving one, the one who carries the weight of a love that was never freely given. I have given enough, sacrificed enough, endured enough. And now, I give myself permission to let go completely. No second-guessing, no lingering guilt, no looking back. Because true freedom is not just in leaving. It is in knowing without hesitation that you were never meant to stay. And as time stretches on, I find myself thinking about them less and less, until one day, I realize I haven't thought about them at all. The past, once so heavy, is now just a quiet echo, distant and fading. The life I have built without them is fuller than I ever imagined, filled with people who love me for who I am, not for what I can offer. I no longer measure my worth through the lens of their absence, no longer wonder if I should have tried harder, been softer, given more of myself just to be tolerated. That version of me, the one who longed for their love, who believed that if I was just good enough, they would finally choose me, no longer exists. In its place is someone stronger, someone whole, someone who understands that love is not a debt to be repaid, and family is not an obligation to be endured. They may still tell their story, still twist my choices into betrayal, still speak my name in bitterness, but I will never hear it. And even if I did, it would not matter. I am not their villain. I am not their failure. I am not theirs at all. I am mine. And that is enough. That has always been enough. And as I move forward, no longer haunted by what could have been, I finally understand. The greatest peace comes not from being chosen by others, but from finally choosing yourself. And with that understanding, I step fully into my life, no longer shackled by the past, no longer weighed down by the expectations of people who never truly saw me. The years I spent searching for love in a place it never existed feel like another lifetime. A story that no longer belongs to me. I have nothing left to prove. No wounds left to reopen. No space in my heart for ghosts who only reach out when they need something. They can rewrite history however they want, cast me as selfish, ungrateful, cold. But their words are only echoes in a world I no longer inhabit. I do not need their validation, their acceptance, or their permission to live freely. I am done explaining. Done justifying. Done looking back. I choose peace, I choose freedom. I choose myself, fully and unapologetically without hesitation. And as I take one last deep breath, I feel something settle within me. Something unshakable, something final. I have not lost anything. I have gained everything. And for the first time in my life, I am truly completely free. And in that freedom, there is no loneliness, no lingering ache, no hollow space waiting to be filled. Only a quiet certainty that I have finally come home to myself. The love I once begged for, the approval I once chased, the validation I once thought I needed. All of it was a mirage, a desperate illusion built from the hope that family meant more than just shared blood. But hope without truth is just another kind of chain. And I have spent too many years unlearning the lie that love must be earned through suffering. I do not grieve what I left behind because in the end, I lost nothing of value. Only the weight of false obligations. Only the illusion that I ever owed them my loyalty. Let them talk. Let them twist the story. Let them believe whatever makes it easier for them to live with their choices. It is no longer my concern, no longer my burden to bear. I am free in a way they will never understand. Free in a way they never wanted me to be. Because my freedom means they can no longer control me. And as I step forward, into a life that is mine and mine alone, I realize the truth I spent so long searching for. I was never the selfish one. I was never the villain. I was simply the only one brave enough to walk away. And as I walk forward, untethered and unafraid, the past no longer clings to me like a shadow. There is no anger left, no bitterness. Only the quiet clarity of someone who has finally learned what it means to be free. I no longer need closure from people who were never capable of giving it. Nor do I need to defend my choices to those who will never try to understand them. Their story will continue without me, just as mine will continue without them. And for the first time, I am at peace with that. The seasons change and so do I. The absence of their voices, once deafening, now feels like space to breathe. I build a life that is full, not in spite of what I lost, but because of what I chose. I surround myself with people who love without conditions, who do not see love as a transaction, who show up not just when they need something, but simply because they want to. I learn what family truly means. Not obligation, not duty, but choice. And then one day I wake up and realize, I don't feel their absence anymore. Not because I forgot, but because they no longer define me. Their opinions, their expectations, their judgments, they are nothing more than distant echoes in a world I no longer belong to. I do not hate them. I do not wish them harm. I simply do not think about them at all. And that I realize is the real ending. Not a dramatic confrontation. Not a final message filled with last words. Just quiet. Just peace. Just the life that is mine and mine alone. I step outside, feeling the warmth of the sun on my skin, and take a deep breath. The world is wide open, full of possibility. And this time as I move forward, I know one thing for certain. I am not looking back. Not anymore. Not ever. If this video hurt you, don't keep it to yourself. Send it to those who will understand.